Just when you thought Star Wars was dead, just when you thought there was no way that Disney and Lucasfilm could possibly make things worse, they dug that sucker out of the ground and proceeded to turn it into something that you wouldn't see on the CW. Even they have better pride to put something like this on the screen. This looks like Disney Channel in the late 80s. This looks like a middle school drama elective. This looks like Eureka's Castle in Space. And it's finally gotten even the most ardent of Star Wars fans sick and tired of watching sick and tired Star Wars. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of that culture curve. If only somebody were helping Star Wars do the same, but clearly nobody knows what the heck they're doing with this franchise, except running it straight into the ground, and doing so with vigor. It's as if Star Wars needs to be placed somewhere deep, deep, deep in the center of terrible and never allowed to escape. We thought maybe that Jon Favreau would have some sort of competency and at least put together something, cobble something together in the third season of The Mandalorian that was watchable. Watchable it is not. And we're going to discuss all of that in just a moment. Before we do, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. We covet your comments. Did you watch the horror that was this most recent episode? If you did, make sure to let us know your thoughts. And finally, channel memberships are available, so check it out and get some of those awesome exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Gentlemen, what in the world did we watch yesterday? What in the world? I'll tell you this, and then I'm just going to give it to you guys. Lorn, you are ready to go because this has offended you. It offends anybody who has cared about Star Wars. And here's what I think about it. I think that the closest thing that resembles this episode is from the Disney Channel in the 90s, the Alice in Wonderland show. I don't know if you guys remember it. It had the rabbit with the clock on rollerblades. It had the Queen of Hearts doing all kinds of jazz numbers and stuff. And that is the closest thing to this episode of Star Wars. It's a monstrosity. It is so off into left field. I don't even know what to make of it. But Lorn, hold on, Stephen. We'll give it to Lorn because Lorn is ready to go. Lorn, take it away.
There's steam.
You may want to give it to Stephen first, because if I start, I don't know if I'm going to stop.
Stephen, you got a 5-second clip for us? What do you got?
It's not a clip, because I was going to say, I don't even think it's that Alice show. I think it goes farther back. This was Dumbo's Circus.
This would, oh my gosh, you're right. This would not make it on the CW. This would not make it on the CW. This would not make it on 90s Sci-Fi Channel.
Bozo the Clown wouldn't even write this.
Guys, it's so bad. I mean, we're not exaggerating. This is awful. And Lorn, who wrote this episode?
My understanding is that it was written by Jon Favreau. I have not actually looked up the credit, but that's what I saw other people saying. So
Lorn, the floor is yours. Everybody wants to know your take. You are the Star Wars encyclopedia of all the internet. Please tell us, what is this we're watching?
I wish I could tell you. When I was watching it this morning, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the beginning of the episode. And I'm going to be probably against the audience on this part because I actually enjoyed the opening when they had the freighter with the calamarian and the core in there. And they had this little
Squid Love was not so bad. It really says something, Lorn. If you look back and retrospectively, you say, you know what? The aquatic life, making love, I can handle it now. I've seen worse.
I've seen some things, yeah. I thought there was some clever set design there. I thought, okay, you're touching on the lore with the calamarians and the Koran, and they've been a warring species, and there's this tragic love here. Okay, I'm actually willing to go with it. And then the rest of the episode happened. And as I was watching the rest of the episode, I kept thinking,
if Squid Love is your high point, if it's all downhill from Squid Love, you've really jumped the squid at that point. All right. I'm sorry, Lorn. Keep going. Keep going.
As I was watching the rest of the episode, I was sort of horrified on my couch and thinking, I have to record something about this. And I honestly don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know how to talk about this. And
By the way, folks, that review is on thatparkplace.com. Make sure to go check it out. Link is in the description below.
I think of myself as an optimist when it comes to these things. I've always been trying to find the good in what Disney is doing, to try and find what's salvageable, thinking that they're building to something.
Lorn, I will have to say, when it comes to Star Wars, you have been a source of hope and light in the world. I mean, even when the rest of us have just completely given up, you're like the guy who comes on the scene of a wreck and there's nothing left except the spare change from inside the seat. And you're like, hey, I can buy a drink with this. You know, you have really done everything you can to try to help us see some light here.
There's a series. Sorry about that.
No,
There is an issue I've noticed with this episode specifically, and I did get the screenshot for you, Lorn, so you can verify that it is Jon Favreau that wrote this. I feel like the dialogue, the interactions, all that felt like the Droids cartoon and the Ewoks cartoon were having a bum fight over who could write the worst cartoon episode, and we got this.
Well, okay, so let me dive into some specifics and some things that I noticed that just floored me. I think that I'm still stunned. I've been stunned all day thinking about this, trying to figure out what happened here. Okay,
it's like getting ready for a big fight and being excited to see what happens, and both men walk out onto the arena to fight, and they both soil themselves with diarrhea. That's what we witnessed. Fight's over, folks. Fight's over. We've got incontinence issues.
Yeah, it's like going to Mario Brothers and then you realize it's Birds of Prey.
That's right. All right, Lorn, take it away. We apologize. We're interrupting way too much, but it's you have to laugh because what else are you going to do?
Have a stroke.
Well, I mean, look, there's a few things that I think that I noticed that this episode, to me at least, it felt like it was nakedly political in a way that I haven't seen before. I'm just going to bring up a few things that I noticed in the episode. You guys can jump in and say if maybe I'm overreacting, reading too much in here. But in this episode, they made a point to keep mentioning direct democracy instead of, say, a representative republic. They had an entire section where they were dealing with replacement theory. There was Bo-Katan continuing to show up, the Mandalorian and everybody else. And it felt to me like they forgot some of the things that they had set down before. Now, there was a point in the episode where I thought, okay, maybe we're actually getting somewhere good here. And this was all involving the investigation of what was going on with the droids. It felt for a little bit like maybe we're going into police procedural territory, and this could be something really interesting. But then they started talking about the nepenthe that the droids are using to both lubricate themselves and having these...
Did you say liberate or lubricate?
Lubricate. and they have these nanites that also reprogram the droids with patches and updates from the central mainframe. So they started investigating this nepenthe that had been imbibed by the B2 battle droid that they tracked down. And when they're investigating it, they said, there's a chain code here. Now, a chain code is established in the rest of the series has been related to biological DNA. Now, you could maybe make that work if you were talking about a piece of metal upon which there was a trace of oil left by a fingerprint, maybe, if there was something that got transferred, a skin fragment or something like that. But this is a liquid medium. And it seems to me that they completely forgot what chain codes even were. And as if that weren't...
They don't even know what words they're using at this point.
If that wasn't bad enough, in the very same scene, then you have the... I don't know what the woman's position was. She was the one that opened the morgue door to pull the B2 out and is providing all of this information to the audience. She says, wait a minute. This tracks back to an individual in the Department of Requisitions, and it's an illegal order. He ordered all these battle droids. So which is it? Did he order the battle droids that were malfunctioning and sabotage them? Or was it the Nepenthe? Which is it? How are these droids malfunctioning? It's none of this is holding together. None of it makes sense. There's a lot of words that are being thrown at the screen to make it appear that maybe there's something here, but it's a bunch of technobabble. I expect that from Star Trek. I don't expect that from this, especially when the entire idea of chain codes was introduced by Jon Favreau. I mean, this is something that I don't understand what's happening. Then you have the gall to not only do all of this stunt casting, which stunt casting can work if you're casting to type. And one of the things that George Lucas always wanted to do when he was originally making the Star Wars films was generally go with unknowns. He didn't want people to be associated with their celebrity status or their roles in other pictures. He wanted people that gelled well on screen. You bring in Jack Black and Lizzo, and I actually think that can work. I like Jack Black generally in almost everything I've ever seen him in. But in this particular episode, he's doing the Jack Black comedic character. It immediately pulls you out of the episode. I'm not going to hate on Lizzo so much because she's not an actress.
It's like putting a custodian on screen and asking them to be Shakespeare. You can't ask Lizzo to do that.
Right, and honestly, I think I don't know if she's ever acted in anything before, but
she still hasn't, Lorn. I've seen the episode. She still hasn't. We're still waiting on that first acting accomplishment.
Personally, I felt that being as this is not her profession, I thought she did fine.
Yes, Lorn, come on, man, come on. They put her in the leading Disney Plus show, and you and I are sitting here like, well, it's really not her fault. She really, it's like asking somebody to walk across on the camera, and they're like, well, they really don't have legs, so.
I don't think she walked though. I think it was more they had like green screen bodysuits pulling her on one of those little trolleys you find under a car.
Well, look.
Here's another thing, real quick though, Lorn. I want to throw this in. I find this bizarre about the Jack Black thing because I just watched the new Super Mario Brothers movie yesterday and put out the review. Highly recommend people go check it out. Jack Black plays Bowser, and he is the standout. I mean, Chris Pratt does a very good job as Mario as well, but Jack Black is awesome. And for 90% of the movie, you can't tell that it's Jack Black. He takes on a completely different persona. The only time that he is Jack Black is in these very clever musical numbers where he needs to sound kind of like Jack Black, but he still plays the Bowser character. He has the ability to switch into being somebody completely different when it's called for. Who do you think told him to be comedian Jack Black for Star Wars?
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.
I don't know if it was direction or maybe it was just... okay, let's start here. I'm going to go back to the writing again because one of the very first lines when they walk into that banquet is, "I hope you like secretions."
Sorry.
Secretions? No, I don't like secretions. I'd rather. Can I get an ice water?
It's like if Luke and Obi-Wan had walked into the cantina and somebody would be like, "Colonoscopies? Do you like colon?" That's the end of Star Wars, and yet here we are still watching this crap on The Mandalorian.
It felt like they reissued the green milk from Last Jedi with that.
Maybe they were all drunk on green milk from Hollywood Studios and Disneyland.
Well, wasn't it greenish too? Like, where they had the hoses coming down from that Dune ripoff creature attached to the ceiling, whatever the hell the Secretions was.
Yeah, but I'm convinced it's actually old slime from Double Dare from Nickelodeon back in the 80s. It's got to be. It's rancid. It's messed with their minds. Everyone of the writers, the actors, everybody.
It could be the leftover from Lizzo's last costume before they started filming again.
Lorn, take it away.
I don't want to pick on the actors here because they're just brought in to do a job. I have to blame the writer for this. If you are Jack Black and you're reading this script and it says, "I hope you like secretions," what are you going to do with that? How are you going? There's no way to play
You know what
that.
you do? You know what you do, Lorn? You look at them and say, guys, I came over here to help you out. I really can't. I'll see you later. You have a great time. I'm going to go work on the Bowser thing again.
Okay,
I have
so-
started something for you guys, though. I'm going to open up a fund, and we're going to ship boxes of crayons to Lucasfilm for the next episode. We're just going to let them draw on the placemats, and we're going to hope for the best.
All right, Lorn, tell us about the writing. Besides Secretions. It gets
well,
worse.
I mean, there's more. I mean, where do you stop with this? The goal that I was talking about originally is that, okay, so you've got your stunt casting. You've got Jack Black, you've got Lizzo, and you've got Christopher Lloyd. You've got Christopher freaking Lloyd. You
Right,
take
and
that
he is
man.
tremendous. He is tremendous, but not in this.
The man's a legend. And you have the opportunity, and there were rumors, of course, and I don't know how you could look at casting Christopher Lloyd in this show and not put him in a suit of Mandalorian armor and have him be a grizzled old veteran who's trying to tell the new generation about just what taking Mandalore means. I mean,
Would have been awesome.
Sure, it was a rumor, and yeah, that's a fan idea, but the goal of a show is to be awesome. You take him and you put him in this role, you waste his ability. And then you have him at the end spouting off about how Count Dooku was a visionary and he's going to use these droids to upend society. And going back to that society again, this direct democracy that they keep talking about, they're floating it as the idea that, well, if we have a direct democracy, then everything will be wonderful. Look, we're all rich. We don't have to work. We get to eat secretions all day. You know, this is what is
Should we tell the audience, should we explain what a direct democracy is? I can't believe we're doing this with Star Wars, but just for all of you out there who don't understand, Star Wars and the New Republic, all of that, right? A republic is when you have representative politicians who are elected by people and then they vote on their behalf. It's what exists inside the United States, many other Western nations. A direct democracy is where everybody votes on everything all the time. So.
Right. And so this again seems to be taking a shot at the New Republic, is what I think they're doing. They're trying so hard to show that the New Republic is just awful. And
the thing that Luke, Leia, and Han fought for, yes.
And by contrast, the weird thing that they're doing, and they keep doing it, is trying to show that all of the people that worked for the Empire are really not so bad guys. They keep going, well, they've been rehabilitated. Look, this guy's silly and he's a fop and he didn't really like the Empire anyway, and he came back to this planet and he's rehabilitating it. Look at the utopia he's built. These are
right.
the space
the gulags.
Nazis.
The gulags were not so awful, you know. The gruel was actually kind of tasty.
I don't understand why they keep doing this. It's like this. Do you think that you're somehow making the First Order look better? Or is that their goal, is to rehabilitate the Empire?
Lorn, it's because they live in a world of relativism. They live in a world of post-truth. They, in their own lives, have decided that there is no objective truth anymore, and they're trying to figure out some way to fix the sequel trilogy based along this new belief system that's all throughout Hollywood, which is, just nuttiness, right? Where even a republic is considered bad, and where there is no objective truth to seek, right? The Force isn't the basis of the galaxy anymore.
But none of these look like they're competent governments. It's like, in a way, they're advocating for anarchy. It's like none of these people are smart. None of them.
It looks like they all look like they came off Sesame Street. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's how bad this is. And the Mandalorian in season 3 feels to me like Quantum Leap in space with Sesame Street level writing. Each episode, we're in some new little place, right, that feels very small, even though it's an entire planet. We're meeting these wacky, zany, characters, and we're off on some new, silly adventure.
Okay, so I do want to step in there and say there is a possibility that they're going to reveal some more behind the curtain in the next couple of episodes, because there were a couple things that I did notice. When they arrived on this planet, it appeared completely empty. That the only people that were there to greet them were 2 Imperial droids. We know that Axe Woves has presumably been hired by the planetary government, but there's also a bit of a hint that might not necessarily be the case. This could be the front for the actual Imperial presence. So there have been rumors that Axe Woves and Casca Reeves were involved in springing Moff Gideon. And if that's the case, and if it's true that Moff Gideon is going to be wearing his own version of Mandalorian armor, if he is Mandalorian, as I expect that he is, that's a showdown that they're setting up. And so it will be revealed that all of this silliness was just a facade to hide the real evil lurking in the background.
Can I jump in there quickly?
Yeah.
Because there's one thing I noticed that when he brought up was Axe Wolves, is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay, look, can I jump ahead to that whole fight scene for Honor where they're using their wrist rockets and not even thinking about the people watching, and it's like, hey, I'll just take out half of my crew while fighting Katie Sackhoff. And I'm sitting there going, you didn't do this just once. You did this twice, almost 3 times. It's like they didn't even have the audacity in the writing and the choreography. Like, hey, guys, they're going to fight it out to the death almost. You might want to move. And they're just taking shots and almost hitting half their crew throughout this. Is that how Mandalorians work when they're battling for honor?
The entire scene was just ridiculous. And the fact that they actually went to that thing that people have been talking about. Well, the Mandalorian got beaten by this creature and lost the Darksaber. And then Boke. It's like, are you kidding me? This is what we've been working up to? The whole point is that you want to see a genuine conflict resolved. And there's lots of ways you can do that. You can have Bo-Katan and Din Djarin fight. Mm-hmm. You could have Bo-Katan come to this realization that maybe she's not the leader that Mandalore needs and that maybe she can help Din become that person. You could have some kind of a showdown with Moff Gideon, but there needed to be something. It's not just, here you go.
But Lauren, it falls under that trope that we've all seen throughout Disney or Marvel or anywhere else, is that even in comics, they don't want to show a woman being beat by a man. So 2 of those tropes, even if they went down that road, let's say they went down that road. I'm not trying to be cynical here or mean or pessimistic, but let's say they did have that one-off with Bo-Katan versus the Mandalorian or Din Djarin. Bo-Katan would still have to win because they couldn't show weakness because they're trying to promote the Empower facade that's going on within Disney. Secondly, it's pretty much they also disrespected Bo-Katan at the same time and gave her an easy way out rather than earning the saber, which in any way that goes against the whole honor system. Even like let's switch this out and say they were Klingons with batleths. Wouldn't fly.
Well, it's the same problem that they've been having for the longest time now, is that it robs her of her arc. Mm-hmm. The arc for Bo-Katan should be that she's always lusted for power, and that led her to make shortcutty decisions, claiming that what she really wanted was the liberation of Mandalore, when what she really wanted was the power that was behind the throne. By going through this redemption arc, by seeing the power of belief that Din has, she's grown to respect him. And that could have been an opportunity for her to grow and realize, I don't need the power. And the way that I thought they were going to resolve this was that, okay, she's going to help resolve the doubts in Din that he has about himself. He doesn't want to be a leader. That's not what he set out to do. But he's a leader through his actions. He takes actions that make him a leader and make people want to follow him. And if she can help him resolve that hesitation on his part, he will then be able to wield the Darksaber effectively. I mean, and then if there's a romantic tie between those two, they can co-rule Mandalore together. They don't have to be beaten.
Well, he can't take his helmet off, so he'll have to remove his Mandalorian chastity belt somehow, I guess.
Well, okay, so this goes into bring up on your last Thursday program, which, by the way, I have not recorded one this week. I apologize. I don't have one for you this week. But I had recorded one for last week's, and it got bumped due to time. And
we may actually play parts of your review tomorrow, by the way, or this afternoon.
Sure. But in that section, I was talking about, I was kind of poking fun at you because you had been mocking the Mandalorian helmet thing.
Folks, now you know why we didn't play the clip.
Do you want the helmet on or off? Too bad.
So the whole gist of the thing was that I was explaining why you were absolutely wrong, and my theory on this is that the whole thing with Death Watch and helmets is that if you remember back in the Clone Wars, Death Watch didn't always wear their helmets. You saw Pre Vizsla with his helmet off all the time. You saw Bo-Katan with her helmet off. That was something that happened with the Children of the Watch. And so my speculation has been that's a relatively new thing. And I think that it happened during the Night of a Thousand Tears. The thing about the Children of the Watch and Death Watch before them is that they're based on the moon of Concordia. They're not on Mandalore. So the night that that attack happened, they watched as the planet below them burned, and they weren't there to try and help their brethren. They weren't able to try and help liberate Mandalore. They were just forced to watch. So I think this was their way of mourning. It's a way of expressing their grief and their shame at not being there on that night. And so
it would be great if they would say that. I would love that kind of lore, but they need to say it.
Well, I think that's where they're going with the Armorer and saying that now Bo-Katan walks two worlds. I think that now that they have established that Mandalore is actually, it's not unlivable, they can now retake the planet. And so the arc for this season should be the retaking of the planet. And now that the clans are united, they have their home back. They have moderated. They're taking everybody in. They can take their helmets off. They've retaken the planet.
But that would require Pedro to be on set. And that seems to be part of the reason that the helmet stays on, is that he can just record his lines somewhere else.
See, I had this image. You guys remember the Heavy Metal movie back in the day? Like Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
I was really picturing, not in the outfit, but I was just going to picture Bo-Katan pulling it out like Heavy Metal, holding the Darksaber, riding the Mythosaur, and you were to get some great rock music. That's what I was thinking. It's right there.
It'll be the next holiday special, baby.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Well, Lorn, okay, so let me ask you this. This episode to me doesn't look like a competent person created it, and yet Jon Favreau is a competent person. We've seen what he can do. He has produced really fantastic films. The first season and the second season of The Mandalorian were excellent, in my opinion. Carried a bit, I believe, by the appearance of Luke Skywalker and the intrigue surrounding that, but nevertheless, very good. This latest episode in this season are laughably bad. I have a theory that I wonder, based on what we've heard about him not wanting his characters used in films and maybe having been a part of sort of this falling out with the Lindelof project, I wonder if when Gina Carano and all that fell apart, I wonder if when Kathleen Kennedy renewed the contract and maybe put the Acolyte into production and all this, I wonder if he's sort of thrown his hands up and just doesn't care anymore. I'm trying to find some reason that it can be this bad. And that's all I can come up with, is that maybe he just doesn't care.
I mean, I have no idea. It's like I have subscribed to the theory that the Book of Boba Fett, I felt like something definitely happened there, and I didn't think it was Jon's fault. It didn't feel to me like any of Jon's handiwork. It felt to me like something really big happened behind the scenes.
Well, it just felt like somebody, Lorn, when those Vespas showed up on set, that somebody somewhere should have said, what are those and why are they here? Get rid of them now.
It felt to me like it was very heavily edited. I don't think that that's anywhere near what the series was shot as. I don't know what happened. I know there's been lots of rumors, but I don't think that we really have any corroboration of any of it. So that's been kind of a question mark for me. But I didn't blame him for the Book of Boba Fett. I would say this episode was as bad or worse than anything that happened in the Book of Boba Fett. I literally, in my review, told people, if you have not subscribed to Disney Plus, waiting to see how season 3 went, don't subscribe. If you're subscribed now, now's the time to cancel. I never thought that I would give this kind of advice. I've always been the kind of guy that wanted to find what is workable, and usually there's something. Even if you hate something, there's usually a narrative thread somewhere that you can tie somewhere else. That's something that traditionally, I mean, I know a lot of people have a hate on for Filoni. I have mixed feelings about Filoni, but that's something that generally, sometimes, he's been very good at. This episode, to me, felt like they just decided, hey, let's get some of our buddies into this episode. They didn't think about the story. It's just like, let's call in our friends. I don't know what happened here. I don't even care what happened here anymore. This is unacceptable. And The only way that Disney is going to continue to get the message at this point is pain. We have to make them hurt. And that means I'm calling for it. It's time to do a complete boycott. I don't even want to reward them for good stuff anymore until they can deliver it consistently. This is nonsense.
Lorn, I have very bad news for you. You've got to stick through it, even if everybody else turns it off. You have to watch the rest of this season so that we can see the pain on your face as you deal with this.
There's a weird thing.
Steven, what do you got?
I was waiting for the laugh to finish. That was good. All right, I'm going to jump forward again, and I got another two things here. First of all, they were trying to push cute moments with Grogu, with the whole helping Lizzo throw a potato bug. That's fine by me, but then he got knighted for what? What did he get knighted for?
All right. I'm going to call out another positive here, just because I feel like I've been so negative here.
What do you got, Lorn?
One of the design choices that I liked was on this world, you had former Imperials in mostly Stormtrooper armor with livery. And I thought that was a cool design. It actually reminded me a little bit of the Dark Horse comics when they were doing Star Wars Legacy and you had Imperial Knights. I thought it's like, okay, that's cool. I like that as a design thing. That's it.
That's the positive. That's what we got.
That's the positive. Yeah, it's like I liked whatever those guys were. So.
All right, so I want to give the same question to both of you. We'll start with Steven. We'll go to Lorn. I want to know what both of you think. What's going to happen to Star Wars over the next year now? And keep in mind that after this, we have Young Jedi Adventures, the preschool show that we basically know now is going to go into very divisive content. We're not going to talk about it. We're not even going to discuss it yet, because we got to have something to corroborate it before we come out and make a claim. But we know what's coming. And then after that, we're doing the Acolyte, right? So, Steven, where is Star Wars in a year?
I'm still picking out a plot at the right cemetery. I don't see it. I don't see it going. And I posted this today. I'm at a point now where I'm watching it just so I have balance in my criticism, so I'm not sounding like a hate watcher or someone who's watching something to hate. It's just there's no fantasy, there's no magic, there's no special sauce that made Star Wars what it was, whether it be Clone Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or the prequels, the droids, cartoons, Ewoks. There is none of that magic anymore, and especially this episode signifies it. It's like they're creatively bankrupt when it comes to...
You think maybe they're trying to create content for a reboot of Mystery Science Theater 3000? Is that what's going on here?
No, Mystery Science Theater was funny. No, that was funny. The Mystery Science
Theater. Yeah, but they could rip on this. This could be the new Godzilla black and white stuff, right?
This is stuff that you wouldn't even find in a coloring book at the dollar store.
Ouch. All right, Lorn, where is Star Wars in a year based on what we're suffering through?
Well, first I'm going to mention the only possible bright spot that I think they might have. And that is the Jedi Survivor game coming out later this month. Although it's also tainted by High Republic content. So make of that what you will.
And by the way, I've reached out to a high level source. I'm not going to say more than that, but trying to find out what is it that makes them think that they're going to have any success with the High Republic. I suspect that they're ignoring all of their research advice coming from consultations when it comes to the High Republic. I see no demand for it whatsoever.
No, I don't think so either. Short of that, though, I mean, I don't see any good news on the horizon. There's Star Wars Celebration going to be here in a couple of days. There's rumors that there's going to be movie announcements there. What I've been telling people privately is that I don't believe anything that they say for a movie announcement at this point. If they announce one movie, if they announce 3 movies, they're not happening. I just don't believe it because, one, you've got at least a 2 to 3 year production timeline. And I don't think they have anything really in the works right now. I don't think they have a completed script. I don't think they have any pre-production artwork. I don't think they have any sets built. I don't think there's anything that is beyond the level of pie in the sky, brainstorming. What could we do? 3 years is a long time. And I think everybody knows that the leadership at Lucasfilm just flat needs to go. They're not going to get anywhere until some serious heads have rolled. And so I think you're at minimum 5 years out before you start to now correct the cinematic universe. If they're just going to double down on the High Republic and they're not really planning to do anything with publishing, the only other place that you really got to go is games. And the only thing that I see on the horizon there right now is Jedi Survivor. There's talk of the open world game that is in development, but I don't know that we have anything solid there. There's I think it's Crystal Dynamics game. I don't remember what that one's called, but it also takes place in the High Republic era. So you got nothing.
They're determined to do High Republic, despite the fact that at Barnes & Noble, when they were contracted to put High Republic novels on in-cap space, that's the premier space inside the retail store, they ended up laying those books on the floor and putting Timothy Zahn novels on the shelves there because it didn't break the contract, and Timothy Zahn's novels from 30 years ago would actually still sell, and they could not sell the High Republic books. That's how bad it is.
The only other bright spot that I think they might have on the horizon is for these last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. The one guy we haven't seen yet is Giancarlo Esposito, and he elevates pretty much everything that he's in, but I don't think even he can salvage this. I think it's dead.
Yeah. Well, Skeleton Crew, any hopes for that one?
Remains to be seen. I mean, there's lots of crazy rumors about it, and some of them I think they could be interesting, but they could also just go off on such a wild tangent that it's not Star Wars anymore. So until we see more, I don't know how to judge that. They actually have to tell us something.
I think people out there, those who watch this channel are starting to grasp it. Those who follow the mainstream probably are not, but I don't think people have yet fully conceptualized the reckoning that is awaiting Disney, where Disney will be at the end of this year. They've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and there's the potential that The Little Mermaid could do well if Disney can possibly shut up. I mean, the marketing's terrible. But outside of that, this is a company in complete free fall. I think leadership at Lucasfilm, at Marvel, in Pixar, I think all of their major content creators are in danger of losing their jobs. And I think we could see a new proxy war out of Peltz and Perlmutter. Valiant Renegade just covered what Ike Perlmutter has said, fired from Disney, not part of the layoffs, but fired, he alleges. And he lays into the company, and he has somewhere north of $3 billion in Disney stock. You add him to Peltz, who is his friend. They go out to dinner together, who has over $1 billion in the Trian Group. And I think Disney is headed for major trouble and potentially a huge course correction that could see lots of people exiting the doors. Lorn, final word.
I think that has to happen. I mean, Disney is not going to learn. And if this episode doesn't convince you, then the annual shareholders meeting should have. They're not going to learn except through pain. So now it's time to bring it to them as hard as you can. So I'd say kind of like the Gina Carano campaign when she was fired and people were commenting on the YouTube videos. Comment on all of it. Call them out on their crap. Stop buying anything that they're producing, because that's the only way that they learn. Don't go to the parks. Go to Universal. I'm going to be there in 1 week. Never been to Universal Florida, and I'm going to be going for the first time in 1 week. So go there if you've got vacation plans. Go anywhere but Disney. These people don't deserve your money anymore.
Well, Lorn, I think you're going to have a fantastic time at Universal. Make sure to grab a butterbeer. And folks out there, I mean, it's true. It's time. It's the battle. It's the battle now that we are in. There's a battle going on in society about the truth and about the kind of society that we're going to be. And Disney has elected to be on one particular side of that. And at the same time, they've elected to produce content that is absolute garbage. So if we want to keep shoveling this garbage onto our screens and into our homes and into our children's minds, well, let's do that. But if we're tired of it, then as Lorn just said, battle on, Disney. Battle on. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. We covet your comments, and big time after this one, there are going to be lots of strong opinions. Drop one down below. The Pro Show is Thursdays 5 to 7. You can check the Pro Show out this evening because it's every Thursday, only Thursdays, but that means that this afternoon we're on. We're live, so make sure that you are there with us as well. Memberships are on starting today. So check out all of those amazing rewards that we're giving here on the channel. I don't think you're going to see any memberships like this anywhere else, and maybe the other channels will start copying what we're doing. We plan to empower citizen journalists. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun.